What's up, everybody? Not so loud this time. Are you all out there? All right, then. Let's get started. Add a little volume, maybe just a tiny bit of dirt. So we're running through straight Kemper, guys and gals. Guys and gals. We're running straight through the Kemper and the 600 watt or so power amp. They call it 600 watts. It is no 600 watts, at least in tube watts. But it sounds okay. We'll have a discussion about that here in a minute. But check this out. So I'm up on the split 2 humbucker pickups here. Little more grit. One thing the Kemper lacks, hear how the distortion starts to sound bitey. Bitey. Okay, so I'll give you an example of that bitiness. Back on the bridge pickup. That's what drives me nuts about digital gear. There, it's good. I'm going to make sure I'm not clubbing the input, because clubbing the input on a Kemper will destroy the tone. We're getting close, but we're good. I'll add a little more distortion. Hear how the distortion's kind of like underneath the note? It's almost clean right there. If I dig into the string, it gets buzzy sounding. And it's quick. It's not like a tube amp. That crossover point with distortion is real smooth. And I know this for a fact that when you get distortion in a tube, a vacuum tube, it knocks the corners off, and that's what I think Digital Deer. That's what Digital Deer does. You know, I stutter a lot in my videos. I've noticed that. Okay. See right there, it sounds nice. But if you go up here, here it goes, gang. So these profiles, just to answer anybody's questions, these profiles that I'm going to use tonight are loaded in the Kemper. This is a brand new Kemper. Number 3, I'll complain about that later. These knobs on the last 2 I've gotten were loose pretty badly. And I wasn't happy with them, and the gentleman that I bought it from told me that it was a very common complaint lately. I've never had any trouble with my Kempers other than, you know, some software issues or whatever like that. But, you know, this feedback for the delay is incredibly tight. And $2,800 piece of gear or whatever they are now with the foot pedal or whatever, 2,600 or whatever, I don't remember. But kind of concerning. But you know, just clean, the Kemper sounds killer. So watch this. Off with the delay and reverb. Hear that? Back off the volume just a hair. Picks up a little muddiness. Not a real enjoyable kind of distortion to me. So here's what I'm using. I'm using the Kemper straight out of the back of that power amp and into a Marshall cabinet with a G1275s in it. I've used it with the 30s that are in this Vox cabinet that I love so much. Like the biggest piece of crap cabinet in the world. It sounds killer. But yeah, they sound good together. Through the Marshall Major, they sound really great together. Which is still, in my opinion, the King Kong of amps. I've never found an amp that sounds as good as a Marshall Major. And they're getting to be very popular with guys collecting them, and there's a big following. A shout out to my buddy Michael up in Canada, who is the Marshall Major King, man. If you go see his videos, it's Michael RT, or if you put in Marshall Major 200 and listen to that guy's clips, you want to hear tone, man. Whew, it's tone. A little different tone than my tone, but the underlay of that, is that a word? But the kind of the foundation of a Marshall Major, whew, they're just amazing, can I tell you? Back to the Kemper. Gotta tell you, hate to say this, guys, because I know the Kemper's getting a lot of play out there. So we're going to get out of here and we're going to go into another patch of some sort. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's go here. We're going to go into what they call pure blue. So this is a patch. I've got turn the cab sim off because I've got a cabinet here. Nice and clean. Nice and crispy. That's nice. But still the same thing. You guys can hear that. Turn the reverb off so you guys can really hear that. Let me turn some volume up here to hopefully, let's see if there we go. sure I don't have the bass up here. It sounds kind of bassy. Bass is nope, bass is at 0. Mids are at 0. Okay. Bridge pickup. Just sounds, it sounds digital. Well, you rock. It is digital. Yeah, but we're trying to make it not sound digital. I think the Kemper is probably the best out there. But just... I don't know. Do you hear that? So that's a, I just don't like that. Seems like it falls on its face a little bit with distortion like that to me. And totally clean, take out the distortion. Watch, and I'll turn the volume up here a little bit so you guys can hear it. So it just sounds you know, when a tube amplifier breaks up like that, this sounds like squawky. That conveys through the mic. And a tube amp has percussion, and this does an okay job at mocking the sound. Right there, it sounds nice, right? As soon as I lean into it, make sure I'm not plugging the input there and overrunning the input. Just doesn't respond the same way. So let me tell you where I'm at with the Kemper. I'm pretty much done with it. I think I'm going to be done with the Kemper. I fought with it long enough, and it just doesn't sound the way I want it to. And in order to get it to sound the way I like it, I ship it through a, so I don't screw anybody up here. I run it into a tube power amp. And I was kind of sitting here the other night going, you're not very bright. Because you run it through a tube power amp, and I was sitting here just for hours messing around. And I finally said, I wonder what would happen, because I was running a tube preamp into the front of it. And you've seen my other videos, you see me do that. I was running a tube preamp in the front of it, and then I was running a tube power amp behind it. And, I'm not real bright sometimes, and it kindly went off in my head, and I was like, wait a minute. The only thing I'm really using this for is some distortion and maybe like the parametric EQs that are in it and that kind of stuff. It's got some great tools in it, guys. It's a great piece of gear. Don't get me wrong. And the navigation of it's awesome. So with that said, I was like, wow, you're running a preamp in the front of it and a power amp behind it. I wonder what would happen if I just took the exact same rig that I was in, and I took literally the line out of the front of it, coming out of the tone bone plexi tube, and stuck it in the back of the power amp. And I was like, oh my God, it sounds amazing. And that bitiness went away. Now, I've run it through FRs. If you guys haven't seen that video, go back to my other videos. You'll see I've run the Kemper through FRs, and it gets a little better. The string separation gets a little bit better. But when you run it through an FR, you lose more of that in-the-room feel. And then what I realized was happening when I was using a speaker cabinet with FRs is I was having some phase problems that I didn't even realize I was having in the. This sounds dead. So if I add some reverb to it, this is what's cool about the Kemper is the navigation. Instantly, man, killer reverb. I just don't like how the distortion starts to break up. So let's turn up the distortion just a hair. Right? It runs out of gas or something. I don't know how to explain it. I just don't. Hear how it's bitey. So let's turn the presence down and see if we can get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. Now right there, the two middle strings sound really good. Nice and warm. Ends are bent over nice. Sounds pretty good. But let's go back to the two. Look. Now it starts getting bitey again. And I've tried everything. You can go in here now and you can go to the main section and you can put in space, pure cabinet. I'll turn the pure cabinet down just a hair because then I can arrow over here to power amp boost. And you can pump up the power amp boost. So I put it on 6. So let's turn the reverb off so you guys can hear that. Clean. Here it starts getting buzzy again. You do that with a tube amp and it takes on a different life instead of dying, kind of dying. Clean's nice. Add a little, I'll add a little delay. A little more feedback. I want so bad for the Kemper to work. Like I really do. Hear how the timbre changed there? Hear how it starts squawking? Okay, so let's try a different patch. I don't think I do enough patch changing around when I'm in this thing. So this is called rocker clean. Off with the cab sim. I'll go off with the reverb first time around. See how all the patches start to kind of sound the same? So why wouldn't you just use a tube amp? That one sounds really dead. I don't know if that conveys through the mic, but that patch is a no bueno. So let's do this. We'll try. Let's go something way different. And I'm gonna try to keep it kind of clean because that's where we've been. So let's go. This is Steve Clean. So this is all the stuff that comes in the Kemper. See, they all start to sound the same. That does sound a little cleaner. A little throatier, maybe. It does sound a little different. Is that a little reverb? Or the reverb is on. Excuse me. Now I'm going to add a little bit of distortion and watch how things change. A little more. Turn it down just a hair so it doesn't clobber that mic input. A lot bassier. It's getting kind of bassier. And now you hear the distortion kick in, or you start to hear the distortion, but it's different than a tube amp. No distortion hardly at all, right? Right? I'm gonna dig in the strings a little bit. You hear that? No likey that. Try the bridge pickup. Sounds nice. But it's bitey. So you're probably not going to hear me talking much more about the Kemper because I think I've had enough of the Kemper. I've sure tried, guys. I've tried everything that I possibly know. And I end up running it through a tube amp and a tube amp or tube preamp in the front of it. And I just go, meh. Maybe you should just get a tube amp and be done with it. So I have a whole bunch of them. And I'm learning how to work on them because I don't really know how to work on amplifiers. And if you don't know amplifiers, don't work on them. Because they have massively high voltages in them. And you can die. I got the living shocked out of me here a while back. And it sucked. Can I tell you? I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 600 volts. And it was not fun. It sucked. And so if you don't know what you're doing with tube amps, man, don't do it. But there's a bunch of guys online now teaching how to work on tube amps. And quite frankly, I can plug into a crappy tube amp. And I have a bunch of those too. And they just sound good, man. I mean, tubes are just beautiful things. I don't know what it is. But I can sure tell the difference in all digital gear. And that goes with the axe effects. That goes with everything. If it doesn't have tubes in it, I just can tell the difference, and I really can. A lot of people get, you can't tell the difference. You can tell the difference, especially if you're a guitar player for a long time and you've been playing a guitar for a long time. They just don't have the dynamics. They're just, it's funny, the other night I was playing just to backing tracks, just to get some practice because I haven't been playing enough. And I was playing through the Kemper, and after about like 15 or 20 minutes, I was sitting there with the guitar going, just trying to get something out of it, get some kind of love out of the guitar, and I just couldn't do it. I switched over to my JMP1, which is, it's freaking 30 years old now or something. And a little power amp, no pedals, no nothing, and I used some reverb out of the Elise's Quadriverb. And oh my God, it sounded amazing. I sat there and just played and played and played and played and played. I hate to tell you, because I've kind of gone back and forth, Kemper, this and that, because I'm trying to find something that's easy and fun and it's not hard to deal with. But unfortunately, digital gear, in my opinion, is just not there yet. It's close, and I hope I see it in my lifetime, but I'm just kind of tired of messing with it, and I'm gonna go back to tubes because they always sound so good. So I'm gonna send y'all my love, Mr. Kemper, but y'all need to make some improvements there. Okay, I hate to say that, but I sure tried to make the daggum thing work because it's a beautiful thought. But my opinion on the Kemper is, let's try in one more patch before we go. Let's see. This is the Amp Factory Deluxe Clean. Deluxe. It is the Deluxe Clean. So, see, they all start to sound kind of the same. I have to say that's more that is more percussive than some of the other amps we've gone through here tonight. One of the reasons why I did clean and then just slightly distorted, because once you turn the distortion up so much, so let's do it. I'm not going to touch that because that can change kind of the tone of things. So we're going to turn this up. This won't be too loud. Back on the bridge where, make sure the cab sims off here. Yeah, I just ran out of gas right there. That in a tube amp, you'd feel it in your chest. Does definitely sound better than some of the other ones. I'll give you that. So turn a little delay and a little reverb. Somebody asked me a question the other day. What kind of strings do I like? I want to answer a couple questions before I'm out of here. The distortion side, if you all the way distorted, sound pretty good right there. I use these, especially when I'm going into tube amps. I don't know what they do, but they're good. If you use these with a Kemper, it'll smash the input because they do put out more than these. These are probably I've been using these for 30 years. DRs are good too. I hear a lot of guys saying, but I just got used to these and got used to kind of the way they sound, and that's what I use. So, the other thing is, out of NAMM last year, one of the coolest things I got, hope you guys can see that. See that? It's called a chicken pick, of all things. And I don't get any money for any of this stuff. So, this chicken pick, I don't know why it's so good, but it's good. The other picks that I use, somebody just asked me about this recently, are these, they're made out of a horn of a water buffalo or something, I don't know, but they're made out of a horn from dude down in Texas, I think. And they're between the chicken pick and the horn picks, they're killer. I don't know why they sound better on the strings. They do. If you use those cheap picks, they don't sound as good. But this chicken pick is the only pick that I've ever, well, I say ever, but I like it. It's real good. But, and the guy walked up to me last year at NAMM and said, "Hey, you want a pick, man?" I was like, "Hey, that was really cool of him." And then I didn't think I'd really like it. I've tried a jillion picks, maybe a jillion and a half. But yeah, good pick. So that sounds really killer. You know, lots of distortion. I'll even turn the distortion up a little bit more. Turn the volume down because I don't want to smash everything. But can you tell I haven't been playing lately? Sorry. But, well, hey, guys. I'll put up some more content. I just replaced my computer and got a new computer. The little one poured a whole thing of coffee in my old Mac, and that was one of the reasons why I was gone for a while. I was trying to get that fixed and just, oh, my Lord. So, nice to be back. Nice to see you guys. Hope that explains some things about the Kemper. Kind of struggling with the Kemper right now and want to go back to tube gear. I don't really like spending the time on tube gear and learning it all and learning how to work on it all because it's so expensive to have work on that stuff. And that's why I tried to make the Kemper work. But at the end of the day, I just couldn't get around the way tubes sound. So I hope that answers some questions for you guys. And once again, we'll turn the distortion off because I got yelled at in this one video. And I'm hoping that I didn't leave that cab sim on in the last two patches. But if I did, oh well. Sounded pretty good. On a clean tone, I don't know if you could pick it out of a mix in a Kemper. I don't know if you could pick out the Kemper or a tube amp. But the minute you crossed into distortion, oh, you can tell. And you can really tell in person. Anybody who says you can't, I'm wondering if they're not trying to sell product. Because you can tell. I can even tell less with computer gear, like TH2 over loud. I've said that before, and scuffum amps especially. Through a cabinet or through studio monitors, pretty tough to tell. Now through studio monitors, in fairness to the Kemper, pretty tough to tell too. But in the room feel, I've gotten a better in the room feel out of computer software and a big power amp and a nice cabinet. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I wish you all love. Don't forget, help somebody. Go out and help a cop. Go out and help old lady across the street. Go out and help a fireman. Go out and help the man next door pull weeds. Okay. Go help your boss. Go help the person you work for. Man, it's easy. It's easy to just go out tomorrow to a somewhere and help somebody. Do something nice with your fellow man, and you'll feel better about it. So I bid you all adieu. I will see you sooner than later. I'm sorry I've been away for so long. I'm you, Rock. Good night. Good night, all.